Good evening. Today.
Good evening.
It's Tuesday.
It is.
March 5th, 2024.
Yes, it is. Welcome to Enduring Guitar Works Backstage.
A guided look at the life experiences, ways, and means of the
guitarist journey.
So he didn't fuck it up this time.
That's right. Yeah.
Good job. First time. That was lame.
We fucked that one up.
Yeah, it's all right.
High five and whack, guys.
But we did it.
All right.
All right. Giggity giggity. How's your week been, my friend? Or actually, month. It's been a month since we've been here down in the Fortress of Solitude. No, not that. The Dungeon of Demise.
The month has gone by quick and been busy. I have fewer hairs.
You did. You snipped the glisten.
The locks have been sheared away.
Yeah.
And I believe
I have more.
You do have more.
A little bit.
Mine's all trimmed up and nice. It's
Yeah.
not quite so uncontrollable. I believe that it helped my Special Olympics basketball team. Yes, I coach Special Olympics basketball. I believe it helped them win the gold medal at regionals and the silver medal at state this last weekend. So,
I mean, what was it like? If they win, they get to cut your hair? Or?
No, I cut the hair and then they won.
Oh,
so I think
okay.
it was a good luck charm.
Did you turn it into a koosh ball and like bring it to the game and everyone could pet it?
I should have. I didn't even think about that. I should have. I totally should have.
All right. So,
what have you been up to?
Man, it's kind of been intense. So I've got one of my bands, which that would be the one that we're in, is sort of going into album recording mode because we've got a drummer who's out with multiple surgeries.
Yeah, his wrists don't work right now.
Right. Too much of that.
Hammering?
Yeah.
That's well, I think it's because he fell off a ladder and broke both of them, so he had to have surgery to fix them.
And then my other band is getting ready for a series of shows coming up. So if you're, it sounds funny, it's a rock show, but if you're into Alanis Morissette and you want to go see a really dope tribute band, come down to Olympia on March 22nd, down in the Coles Bar. Come see Head Over Feet.
I might have to take some video.
Wined and dined in 69.
I'm definitely taking video now.
Come down there dressed like Dave Coulier, and we'll put you on the list.
You ought to know, man.
Yeah.
You ought to know.
And other than that, I've been working on a bunch of guitars. It has been a really good February.
Yeah.
It's actually sort of been funny because, we were just talking with our guest who's behind the curtain, but started this off like the business side of this was born of repairs and trying to transition into building of customs. But there actually hasn't been any time to build new guitars right now because I got so many other guitars on the bench. But it's rad. I love it. There's one guitar that I can't talk about yet because it's really special and it's going to go on a blues tour here pretty soon. But I cannot wait for...
That's going to be fun to disclose that one.
I cannot wait for the lead builder on the guitar to announce it so I can also talk about it.
Yeah, that's right. It's a really cool collaboration. The fact that two guitar builders are collaborating, I think that in and of itself is really a cool thing that doesn't happen very often. So I look forward to sharing that.
It's all
news,
about
that's for sure.
Community over competition.
Yeah.
So last month we had Aaron Crawford.
We did after seeing him live.
Yeah,
that was fun.
And the month before that we had an amazing PNW artist, well, originally from the Bay Area, our friend Sam Corey,
yes,
who was on the show. And we reached out to, we actually had Los Ocupados slated for today.
Originally, yes.
And at the last minute, they had some production issues, and we were like, we get it. So we reached out, and we said, who can fill the spot really, really quick with like 2 weeks' notice? And Sam said, I know a guy.
Yeah. All the way from Compton.
Right.
Sam is anyway. Our guest is Seattleite.
But we would like to bring to you right now on our remote, we have Mike Votava.
Mr. Mike Votava, how are you tonight?
Hello, everyone. I am spectacular. Having a great day.
So we went from Los Ocupados to Los Seahawks. That's kind of apropos.
What are the odds? That's great.
I am football ignorant. I don't even,
You're in a Chicago family now, so
I'm in a Chicago family. I am, but I'm like in a Chicago family who I still don't care.
You don't care.
You're probably better. You're from Chicago and you don't care about the Bears. You're probably better off.
Well, this is already, it's episode 33 and it's the best one so far.
They're terrible. They are
number one pick, baby.
They're a terrible football team.
But they have such good fans.
They're like the oldest football team. So
they are very old. They are the who's somebody that's really old. They are the Patrick Stewart of football team.
I gotta go get naked Patrick Stewart.
Naked Patrick Stewart's gonna have to make an appearance.
I think he's pretty old now.
He's pretty old. He's pretty old. But he's still there. So Mike, are you up in? I know that you're Seattle based, but is that Seattle proper? Or are you just are you in Tacoma, or where are you around?
Oh no, I am not anywhere near Tacoma.
Okay, cool.
I am Seattle.
Okay,
so I've lived here for a long time. I grew up near here. I grew up in Kent, Washington, right. And
this is why we don't talk about things before the show, because so did I.
Oh my God, great!
Look at you two.
Go Royals!
All right,
you go to Kent. Did you go to KM?
I went to Kent Ridge.
Oh, Kent Ridge! Go Chargers!
Go Chargers! Yeah, right. So my daughter goes to Olympia High School, and their team just went to state. And I was like, "Who the hell are you playing?" Their basketball team went to state. I'm like, "Who are you playing?" And she's like, "Oh, they're playing Kentwood. They lost to Kentwood." I was like, "Oh, that's a trip," because my daughter's mom was. They competed against Kent Ridge in a different capacity, dance team 20-some years ago. But Kentwood was our rival too, and of course, I didn't care about football when I was 18 either. But it was funny that my daughter is at state watching like them battle the same people that we were trying to battle. But
that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't go to Kent very often.
No,
anymore.
I will circumvent it with other roads just to avoid it.
It seems like it's a place that most people try to get around.
Yeah, well, my parent, I go there more than probably the average person who doesn't live in Kent.
Sure.
My parents still live over there in the same house, so
okay.
I go visit them frequently. But yeah. Back to your first question. I'm in Seattle. I live on Beacon Hill, so South Seattle.
Right on.
So that's part of Seattle. I think a very underrated section of Seattle, but
it is.
It's an unbelievable little community here.
We actually sometime this summer, this last summer, Gunslinger, we played at the Jules May in Georgetown. So
oh yeah, I love Georgetown. I'm there almost every weekend.
Yeah, it's a great little spot. So.
Yeah, I really like Jules Mays. I've played there many times. I'm glad it recently reopened, right? Because it was closed for years, or not. It wasn't closed for years, but they stopped doing music for so long. And then the new owners bought it a couple years ago and brought music back. So that's like the only music. It's one of the only music venues in Georgetown right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid that there aren't more. There's more wineries in Georgetown than there are music venues, and that's a real shame.
Yeah,
but I love Jules May. It's awesome. It sounds like a big garage in there.
Yeah,
just noisy, and it's just a great little space.
Yeah, it certainly was a lot of fun. And I mean, to be on the same stage that Jimi Hendrix played when he was 19, that's
oh no shit.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we walked in. Yeah. Okay, so it was actually really cool to meet somebody who, that was also a surprise too, right? Because I mean, Georgetown was a surprise to me, which was really weird because growing up, so I grew up in the Fairwood area outside of Kent, and so you didn't want to stay in the suburbs when you were in high school and had things to do. So I would always get on the bus and go up into downtown Seattle, but I always never went to Georgetown. And so when we played the show last year, it was the first time I'd actually even been into that district. And
oh my God.
Yeah. Exactly. And we're walking around there going like, this is amazing. And that little that like street mall made of the old trailers that's behind the bar, that's super cool. We walked
the Georgetown Trailer Park Mall.
Yeah.
And we
you can get married. They have a wedding chapel there. You can get married if you want. It's great.
But yeah, when we loaded in through the back and then went up to the bar and then like you do, and then headed back to the back and look. If you go back through the door that goes back into the performance room and look immediately to your left, there's a picture, and it wasn't like Jimi Hendrix playing in like the capacity that you would think of Jimi Hendrix, but it was him like a blues or a jazz type thing with like trumpets and saxes and stuff. But it's right, and you played on that stage, and that's one of the cool things about Seattle for me is if you go to the Central or Jules May or name a bunch that I'm forgetting here at the moment, it's historic. You know, it's such a great cross section of shared experience. I remember talking with a guy who he's retired now, but he was a procurement officer at the state of Washington. But back in his youth, he played in some jazz ensembles, and he told me that he played the clarinet in his group at the Central. And I'm like, man, the last time I was at the Central, I was blowing the roof off that place.
Yeah. Or like the Comet, or what are some other ones that are the 2-bit? The Tractor.
Tractor, Sunset. I mean, Central has probably been around super long. I mean, Jules Mays has been around super long too. But yeah, it's great. Pretty lucky, pretty fortunate little area. There's so many places. There have been historically, but there still is, and it's like it's an easy town to go out and find a good rock show to see any night of the week. It's just like there's so many venues. I feel pretty lucky to live where I am.
Yeah, for sure.
I do,
so we'll just abruptly like take a 90-degree angle right back into the past, or 180-degree angle right back into the past. But so how did you start your guitar journey?
Well, I guess I started playing when I was in high school, and it was probably just an attempt to be cool in some way. Like that was like important to me, and I thought cool people did things like play guitar.
Right.
And so I played guitar. That's when I started. I was never very good. I mean, I'm still probably not very good, but I was really, really terrible. I was just starting out. Of course I'm going to be bad.
We're all terrible.
Like, I just like assumed like, because I could say I played guitar, it somehow made me cooler. And that was kind of my main motivation, I think. And I was getting into music at the time, but a lot of my opinions about what I was into and what I did or didn't like was based around what I thought was cool or what would impress other people. So when I started out, I would never have admitted this at the time, but like I had a hard time sort of forming opinions about music that were kind of just my own. It was always weighed against, who am I talking to, and what kind of music do I think they would think is cool, or what kind of thing can I say that would just get a reaction?
Yeah.
And I know that. I mean, that was a long time ago, and I was just a stupid little kid. So I understand why I did that, but like, man, I fucking sucked. Jeez.
Yeah, I remember.
Stupid, but that's how I started. So luckily, I'm not necessarily that way anymore. Or as much, at least. But that's when I started. So it's been a long time. It's been, I don't know, 50, how old am I? 30 years or something? 20 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's in the 90s I started. So
okay.
Right on.
So now that we've learned that we grew up just like right across the hill from each other, did you play in the Kent Meridian Jazz Band at all, or did you?
No, I was not good enough. I did not play guitar.
The guitar players in the jazz bands were never really that good.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't have to be good necessarily, but like I wasn't that kind of a player. I didn't play in the band. I didn't play in my own band in high school. I didn't really play music with other people at that time. It was more of a solo effort. I didn't really share very much. I did not play in the band. I did not play in the jazz band. I played one year I got into the pep band,
Oh, yeah.
like the regular band, because my friend said that I was a drummer, and my friend he like had a lot of weight in that band, so he went up to the teacher and said, "Hey, my friend Mike wants to play drums. He's really good." And the teacher's like, "Yeah, whatever." So he signed the okay off, and it turns out I was not good at the drums. I just basically fucked around for a year.
Just get to hit things.
That was really fun though.
Yeah.
Well,
But that was the only school band experience I had.
Right.
Really.
So have you ever taken any lessons then, or anything? Are you self-taught?
Yeah. Well, I'm mostly self-taught, but when I first started in high school, I did take some lessons at the local guitar music shop, East Hill Music.
Yep.
So I would probably have 1 or 2 a month, and I'm not sure how helpful they were for me. I'm not very good at learning things, so especially back then too. So, but I did, and I probably got better more. It probably helped in ways, but overall, not a lot of guitar lessons for me.
God, just
a handful.
Even mentioning East Hill Music, man, it's just sending me back down a spiral of thinking about, like there was a time where like my first electric guitar, and it was this nothing, and you dreamed about getting something that was a little bit better.
Oh yeah. Always.
And I'd go on these like Saturday guitar tours. You'd like go steal the car and
just hit every shop.
Yeah, and it's like you're gonna start at American Music in South Center, and then you'd stop by A Sharp Music, and then you'd go up the hill, and if you go down to South Center Mall, because there was Canela Keys in the mall, and then make your way over to East Hill, and then if you really felt adventurous, you go into Auburn, and then just
go to Green River Music, right?
Yeah, and you go play all these guitars, just hoping that you were going to run into the one that was like, for whatever reason, it was $50. Like, I don't know why it was only $50 and you could afford it, but like, I'm going to walk in here and it's going to be a Wayne's World moment. There's going to be an Excalibur.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, no one actually knows the value of this, and they're just going to hand it to you for what you got earning, like mowing lawns the day before.
I love it. That's a great little. I hope that at some point came true for you. You
it didn't. No, it totally didn't.
That's why he builds his own now.
It never happened for me either.
No,
unfortunately. I probably had the same fantasy as you though. Like, I think they'll just. I'll walk in there and they'll cut me a deal because I'm so fucking cool. They just they like me. But that never happened. They usually just kicked me out of the store because I was an idiot.
Yeah.
So
I think we've all been there too. No stairway. Denied. So
you've made what? Well, I guess I don't know what the question is like, when did you get better? I mean, you've played hundreds of shows, and so you went from a guy that wanted to
keep cool,
keep it all to yourself.
Right.
Keep it all to yourself. You're not playing out. You're not playing in bands. And now you're a performing musician.
Oh yeah. So better is an interesting word, but it was a little bit later when I was in my I guess early 20s or so. I moved in with some people, and I hadn't really been doing any songwriting or anything like that. And I always sort of looked at like rock bands and music is an activity other people do. It's not something that I do or could do, and have people like it or even just do it for myself. I mean, I know that I was playing guitar sort of a little bit, but like it wasn't really anything more than just a little hobby, I guess. But I moved in with some buddies, and they weren't very good at music, but they were in bands, and they sort of could show me that you don't have to be like good. You just have to fucking do it, and it's okay. Just do the best you can with what you have. And so I started hanging out with those guys, and they had a 4-track right? So I was like, oh, I'll go write some songs, and it actually, a lot of it just stemmed from I want to just, I like these guys. I'm going to try to write songs to impress them and things like that. And so I would do it. I would write songs on, 4-track, and I'd put the time in, and the songs were like, I don't know, quality wise, they were probably all across the board, probably bad for the most part. And again, I was not very good at music, but I did it, and I was getting better. But that's kind of how it started. I remember like they had like a little gig at like a coffee shop one time, in the U District somewhere, and they were just practicing, and their songs were stupid. They were like fucking dumb songs. Like one of them was like "Wild Thing" in a minor key, and they just said that over and over again. And I'm like, I could do that. I could fucking do that. So it was really inspiring. So I wrote a couple songs real quick, and what's funny about it is like I actually, like, a pretty big turning point is I wrote these songs, and I wasn't really writing or singing in front of people. Jesus. And I showed them to my roommates, and they were like, one of the guys was like, yeah, that's really good. Keep going. He didn't say stop. That was terrible. He said, that's great. Make some more. And that was like probably a pretty big moment. I'm like, okay, I guess I can do it.
Getting some encouragement.
That's huge, man.
Yeah,
and
it was just it was a very small thing that they said. Like, what would have happened if he told me like, no, that's garbage. Just no, you're not gonna. It's not any good. No one's gonna like that. And of course, like music it can be like a pretty like personal thing in a way. Like a lot of it's easy to be insecure about your own art and things like that. So like I still would probably struggle with a lot of that mentality now still, but like even so, when I was 20 years ago, when I was just getting started, like I mean probably would have been heartbreaking for him to say like, that sucked, get the fuck out of here, smash my guitar and shit and kick me out of the house. But luckily they didn't say that. They wanted me to keep going, and that's kind of where it started. I just started writing songs from there. So
that's a really cool experience that you had. I think back to like the moment I was never afraid to play guitar in front of people, because it was just, some people have that thing, and I'm not saying I was great. I'm just saying that I was comfortable. When I had the guitar in front of me, it didn't matter what room you put me in. Like this is what I was supposed to do. But the second, like I tried to say, I remember the day that I was thinking, I've got a guitar, I can sing also. And I remember like I was sitting there outside. We were walking home from school, and we were waiting for something. So I sat down with my friend, and I took my guitar out of its gig bag, and I just started playing Fade to Black, the rhythm part, just like sitting there on the street. And I remember I started singing. And my friend's reaction is like, "Oh God, no!" And for whatever reason, I was young enough that I let that define me. And that's not an excuse, like, but as a kid, like I didn't value myself enough to recognize that, fuck that guy. It was like that at that point in time was enough to make me very like, okay, I don't sing. And it wouldn't be until I was like 30 years old and
I started hitting the karaoke
I always
bar.
joke about karaoke because karaoke is karaoke, but like when I was getting divorced when I was 30, so 12 years ago, my first marriage was done, and the way I got through that was going to the karaoke bars, and that gave me my strength back, 15 years later, which is crazy. And you had somebody that in like the same capacity, whether it be singing or guitar writing, like, that's good, make more. Because it could have been amazing and make more because it's amazing, or it could have been the person who recognizes that, when you tap a well, the first thing that comes out isn't clean water, it's a bunch of dirt. You got to keep writing. And that's fantastic. Yeah. I just love that.
It could have totally gone the other way. I mean, that guy always seemed to see the good things about me, my creative parts, and he was very nice about it. He was always very encouraging. He saw something in me that was like weird, or I don't know. They let me live there for a while. They hated me when I first moved in, but but once we got going, he's always been very just very encouraging. And the songs aren't. I mean, I don't know. The songs are they're not that good. I don't know. They're just songs that are finished. And I was a terrible singer. Like I'm still not that great of a singer, but I was way worse before. So
right.
I don't know. Thank God that I mean I'm very fortunate that he was so nice to me and he said those things. So
well, I mean, from my limited experience listening to your music, getting to know your music before our show, I personally think you got a great voice, but
yeah,
I also think you're a pretty damn good guitar player. So I think, I mean, it might be a good time to go ahead and throw up a tune and see what's up.
Yeah, let's
share some music with our listeners on that note.
So you sent us a track, and I don't know whether we should talk about it before or after, but let's talk about it.
Talk about it after.
What's that?
Oh, can I just say a couple things about it before?
Absolutely,
sorry to interrupt.
Please. Yeah.
So I do think I'm spending a lot of time on my songwriting, and I think that's probably the best thing I do musically is I write songs and can put them together and kind of produce them and be able to have a narrative and like, I don't know, write interesting songs that I think that people might want to hear. But anyhow, so I put myself in a position where I say yes to a lot of things, and like this particular song came from a songwriting group.
Oh, cool.
And so it's a group that gives you a prompt in a project. And so that often helps get your ass in gear if you have like a deadline and people are depending on you and things like that. So this particular group I joined a few months ago, and it's called the Real Songs Writers Collective. And what it is, it's a group of songwriters, and we write songs inspired by movies.
Okay.
And so and then everyone writes a song and submits a video and ends up being a YouTube show eventually. But this particular song is inspired by The Big Lebowski.
Okay.
And I just wrote it a few weeks ago, and I just started playing it live a little bit too, which is really fun. And that's all. So it's a song inspired by The Big Lebowski.
I love it.
And all right,
as a part of this writers group.
If I knew, I should have asked more probing questions because I would have made a White Russian instead of just a whiskey. But
that would have been great.
All right.
Maybe had a bowling ball.
So right now we're going to play Up Yours.
Maybe it's time to roll. Maybe it's time for a heart attack. I have no idea where your head is at. You're all up inside of my business. Consider your invite rescinded. 'Cause I am leaving now. Enjoy your coffee, pal. There's no obligation for any more words. You fucked up my car, so I'm fucking up yours. What if I quit the team? Picked up my shoes and then wandered home. Left you to face Jesus all alone. There's no way you're winning without me. Please say goodbye to your trophy. 'Cause I am leaving now. Enjoy your coffee, pal. I'm not the guy you want keeping the score. You fucked up my car, so I'm fucking up yours. Live by the bowling pins, die by the sword. You fucked up my car, so I'm fucking up yours. Larry, is this your homework? I'm pretty sure this is your homework. Tell me that this is your homework. You're all fucking amateurs. I'm not the guy you want keeping the score. You fucked up my car, so I'm fucking up yours. Live by the bowling pins, die by the sword. You fucked up my car, so I'm fucking up yours.
Yeah.
That was so good.
I was listening to that song before, and I had no context, and it was
sung so straight. You know, like the only thing that you would even guess is the reference to bowling pins, but you probably have to like know that movie front to back to.
I'm telling you, I was listening to like, this is your homework, Larry, and like everything is it's crystal clear now.
Yeah.
When I was listening to it originally, I was just like, this is funny, this is great. And I didn't really make that connection on my own. I feel stupid now that I should have, because I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies.
Thank you. I think that's a pretty good song.
It is.
It's better than pretty good.
So that was one of the reasons why, before the show, when we were talking, I was asking you what you really considered your music, because lyrically, without context, it seems like kind of an absurdist song. What would you say typically your genre is, and get that out there for our audience?
I usually say it's fun rock music. You know, it's clever and catchy. Almost maybe too clever for its own good sometimes. But what I'm realizing is like even talking this through, there's usually an element of sincerity that kind of comes through. Even amongst the swear words and the bowling references and things like that. And I think that's like a pretty nice place to be, where you can have jokes, or you can actually make a point. The song can be funny, but there's also like another part of it too, where it's actually coming from somebody who cares about music and cares about the way it sounds. So it's not just the fact that I make funny songs sometimes.
Right.
It's just like hopefully. People will hear any song I make or a song like that and just know, like, I didn't just throw that together. You know, like it hopefully it sounds like I care about.
No, it absolutely does, and I think
does.
this is like, it's a song that's like one of those movies that you can watch over and over again, and catch different details each time, and you know, just get something different from each time. Like if I didn't know what I knew. That's the first time I heard that song, and I would have listened to it and I would have loved it. And then when I heard it, I would have been looking for the cues, and then I go back to it and I can hear that sincerity. It makes me think of the conversation we had with Sam in episode 31 about her song "Douchebag."
Right.
Because we were like, what is, all right, what's douchebag? And she's like, well, no, I mean, it was like, I actually love that dude, you know, and the sincerity behind it, but we're delivering this message,
but it totally
in a very palatable and accepting way,
and everybody can kind of get their own thing from it a little bit, I think, too. So
absolutely, man. When I met her, she played that song. She's awesome. Like, she's rad. That song is so good, and kudos. And she has that same sort of thing where it's like, there's something. It's not just her making dick jokes and shit. It's like there's an element of, there's a lot of heart in what she does, and it's very clear, especially if you see her perform. Oof. I've only seen her the one time, but we're probably gonna end up doing. Oh, we have a gig coming up in May, doing a show with her, but
all right, well, send us the dates, because I want to make an effort to go to that. I mean, not just to support, but also because I just think it's going to be a great time.
Good music is good music. You got to see it.
Oh man, meeting Sam was something special. I met her. What's 2024? Jesus. 12 years ago in theater community, and the interesting thing about theater is that, not to get too like Fight Club, but you get a lot of single serving friends, and you don't necessarily realize it. But there's a few special relationships that absolutely transcend, and Sam is one of a handful of folks that we don't talk often, but it's just it's good knowing her, and to be able to see her do the things that she loves in every capacity that she wants to do them, and then she introduced us to you, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah, she's great. That was really, I'm fortunate to have met her, I think, at this point. So
I don't know the natural way to transition into this, but I have to ask, because the Real Songs Writers Group, is that what it was called?
Oh, I think it's called the Real Songs Writers Collective. I'm probably fucking it up, but if you look up Real Songs on YouTube or something, it should show up. But so me and there's the last episode. There's like 8 songwriters or something on it, and we all have different takes on. The only prompt is be inspired by the movie and write a song, and so you can take that in any direction you want, and it's pretty awesome, just the variety of directions people go with it, based with the same source material. I mean, it's such a fun thing to see and be a part of.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be some people that are going to focus on one scene or one character or something like that, and there's like yours was kind of the whole movie. Really kind of takes chunks from a bunch of different scenes and weaves a story.
Yeah, the biggest scene it's about is the scene. Mostly it's from, you're right, but I do take bits from it. But really, to me, it's a song about calling it quits and being like, I'm fucking done with you. Yeah. And it came from the scene where them sitting in the diner, where like the Walter character is just being mean and aggressive and not making any sense. He's belligerent, and
I can get you a tow by 3 o'clock.
The dude's like, fuck off, you're just being an asshole. Like, I can't take this anymore. He actually storms off in the scene, and that's kind of where the main inspiration for that song came from.
Hence I'm finishing my coffee, so you write, have a good time finishing your coffee, dude.
yeah. So that's exactly. Yeah. And then I borrowed from other pieces, but the verses are all like, well, what if I left? What would you do? Kind of thing. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. I'm glad that you guys liked it too.
Yeah. I love the story behind it as well. I mean, that's fantastic. I kind of, in some ways, kind of connect to that, because that's kind of how in Gunslinger we have always written. We come up with an idea, like a prompt, like I want to write a song about this, and then we kind of go from there. So it's kind of a cool way of writing, for sure.
Yeah. That made me think of, it didn't matter. I was thinking about, because I haven't really been around that much in the original songwriting of Gunslinger. And then we were going through a couple tunes, and I said we should write something that was all through like the eyes of the Borg or something. What did I say?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And it's just like, but once you get out of the traditional, like how we think like songwriting is supposed to take place, and just write, sort of like what your friend said, that's great, write more. Like you stop putting boundaries around the way you write and just free write, I guess.
Yeah.
Then it's amazing what takes place and what can actually be formed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of writers out there that you hear about. They're journaling every day, and then they take chunks from their journal. I don't know if you do that at all in any of your writing.
Oh man, no. I wish I got into more of the free writing stuff. I think it would put me in a better state of mind. This idea where you can have ideas and just and just sit with them for 15 minutes. They don't necessarily need to go anywhere, but they are, you know, you are getting them on paper and outside of your brain. Just you get in the process of actually making something, and you realize the more, I mean, I should take a practice up like that, but I don't. But one of the things I realize is like, you know, I don't have to be so precious about my songwriting. You know, it's like they'll get better or be something sort of organically. I think I'm improving in ways that I'm surprising myself. But like, it all comes from just trying. Really, like, of course I'm going to get better at it. I'm not going to be able to write a masterpiece because you know, I'm an idiot or something. But like, if I keep just trying to write songs and keep moving forward, and doing the sorts of things that I like to do, that's the only way I can get better. I sort of organically have been getting better at songwriting, because my output is so high, I think.
Well, eventually you will write your masterpiece. Whether you consider it a masterpiece or not, it's your masterpiece, right?
Yeah, I mean, I once did write a song recently called "I Don't Want Your Butt in My Face."
That's a good title.
It's something I say to the cat.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have a cat.
It's something I say to
my
kids. Get your butt. Yeah.
So you know, that might be my masterpiece. I'll send you the link later. Yeah, songwriting's really fun. I really, it's one of my favorite parts of music is just trying to see what I can do with whatever's in front of me.
I feel like we are like living in this. I don't know if this is a product of the last 4 years since, you know, March of 2020, or if it's always been around and I've never noticed it. But living in this time where everyone is like fast tracking and putting out all these little platitudes that are supposed to like spark positive energy, and some of it's really successful, and I don't know what's bullshit, and I don't fact check everything I hear, but I heard an old, I guess it's not parable or whatever, but some guy told a story about the story of the pottery class. Like, there are 2 different pottery classes, and one, the instructor told them all you have to do to get the A is make 1 piece of perfect pottery. And the other class, it was completely based on output. The more pieces you make, that's the better your grade. And the people that only had to make 1 pot, like, still turned in this piece of shit because they made 1. No matter how much they wanted to make, they made 1.
Right, because they were so worried about it.
But the people that were just trial and error, produce. You can't help, like, you would have to actively try to not get better. The more times you do something, you're just gonna, don't get better. I dare you, try to do something that many times and not be better at it.
Yeah. Well, and it was, I mean, that kind of aligns in some way to when we were in studio for our first record. Our producer, we'd go through a couple of takes, you know, and it'd be good here but not here, and this one would be good in the opposite spots and bad in the opposite spots and whatever. And man, I don't know, I don't think I quite got it. No, hey man, perfect is the enemy of good. And I think it just kind of got right now a different perspective of it, that like you can be good and just take the good, learn from it, and continue going, rather than just sticking in that trying to get that one thing perfect. You be in it forever. I know a guy who does that, and he's a fantastic musician and has never put out anything officially because he keeps trying to get it perfect, and it's just not quite perfect.
And I know there's people in my life that I know that have a similar mindset about creating, and they put themselves in this position where they think it has to be perfect, and they're just afraid. I think they're like, it doesn't need to be perfect. It comes from a place of fear. Like they're worried it's not going to be good enough, or I don't know. It's easy to be insecure about art and things like that. I understand that, but like, what good is art if you just and you're sitting on this wealth of talent and have all these great songs and shit, but you don't want to share them. You're too afraid to actually share them or put out the album you've been working on for 15 years. Like,
right.
We don't care we don't care what the hi-hats sound like. Just we want to hear the songs. Like, it doesn't matter that much. It's easy to get caught up in that. I mean, I do it myself, but I'm able to, the more I make things, I've gotten a lot better at being comfortable with the process of not worrying about if it's going to be good or not, worrying if people will like it, whether like it's not really, those aren't helpful thoughts. It's like, I just want it to be, my first thought is like, I want it to be done and sort of good enough usually. And then you can always re-record it if you want. You can always like bring in a producer. You can always rewrite a verse if it's not right. You know, you can always do that. I don't often do that, but I tell myself that I can, and it sort of tricks me into getting it finished. And the funny thing about Perfect is like Perfect can be pretty boring. Like, who cares? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's like sometimes like the little mistakes or the weird shit in the songs actually, like, as a listener, I'm like, I look forward to those moments. Like, this is the part where he flubbed that guitar line, you know, or something like that, and it just stands out as like a moment.
Well, it's a human moment, right?
Yeah, and it's fine. It's like totally fine. I don't think less of the person or less of the performance. It's just like, I'm glad they put it out. Mistake. I mean, it's such a strange word, but
you hear that all the time. I hit the wrong note here, but we kept it because, you know what, it sounded better than what we wrote, or something like that.
Yeah, you do hear that a lot, and it's really fun. And I don't know, Perfect is like the enemy, in my opinion. Yeah, like fuck Perfect. It's impossible anyway, so it's okay to be good enough. At least that's what I think. I mean, I've built most of my creative output on that. It's good enough. It's fine. Let's keep moving. And you can always change it later, and you'll get better later. You know, maybe like you don't like the song very much. Who cares? It's finished. Write another one that's better, or worse. Who cares?
Well, I mean, good enough is just like a really clunky way of saying you got there. You know, because if perfect is unattainable, and it's such a moving target, a subjective moving target, that good enough, I think it always gets chalked up to like, well, you're half-assing it, or like
you've given up.
Sometimes good enough is honestly like, I got there. Like,
I got to a place where I liked it.
Finding the same way of saying the same thing, but good enough isn't good enough. Good enough is like, you achieved your goal. You got there. If you're talking about good enough, it means that you got to the end of the recording process feeling the way you start. Like, this is what I wanted to achieve. Yeah. Because perfect is like, perfect today. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I woke up and like, oh my God, I actually got it perfect. And I wake up tomorrow like, fuck. Because perfect is how I felt today. It's not how I felt tomorrow. And vice versa. There have been plenty of times where I've recorded good enough. And, you know, like a day later, I was like, oh man, I don't know. But back away from it for 3 months and then come back to it and listen to it. You're like, no, that was exactly what needed to be recorded, because good enough was truly, it captured what needed to be captured, not what you were being critical of yourself in that moment and saying it's not good enough. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I
always
agree.
Those moments.
If you make music or something and you allow yourself to have a little bit of a separation between when you released it or recorded it and you come back later, like you might have a completely different viewpoint or opinion about it, and that happens to me all the time. Because if you're making a song, you get so focused on specific things and almost make to the point where you focus on the wrong parts of it. And like
you nitpick.
Like, what are you talking about? The snare drum sounds fine. It's fine. Even though like I just spent like, 3 hours EQing the snare drum. Like, why would I do that? Like, what? Like, it's just losing. Like, I'm a maniac. It's fine. It's fine. But sometimes you get wrapped up into it, and it's hard to make those this minute decisions a little bit, especially like, I mean, I guess that's where a producer and some like bouncing the ideas off your friends and whoever could come in handy. But like it's easy to get wrapped up in that. But my main point is like, yeah, take a step back and then go like, oh yeah, that was fine. It was good. It's better than fine. It's like, who cares? Why was I so worked up about that? Like what was wrong with me? But you just sort of temporarily lose your mind a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And you get so wrapped up in that idea of perfection that it does become the enemy, that you cannot finish, or that you don't feel comfortable with it because it's not quite there. And well, take some time. Take some time, wait, sit on it, and then go back and listen later. And you'll find out that it's there. It's there.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's a fun process, but
it is. Sometimes it takes longer than others, though, to get to that point where it's where you've been separated from it, and then you re-listen to it. Like, it took probably a couple of years not listening to the first Gunslinger record for me to be able to go back and listen and be like, oh actually, it turned out really good. It's not quite what we actually wanted at the time, and it was still really good. Like, yeah. Regardless of what anybody else thinks, I liked it. And that's, I feel like that's the place that you really want to be.
Yeah, or at least, you like it, or you're okay with it, or whatever, and you just kind of move on. You can always make another record, it doesn't
exactly. And like you're saying, you can always re-record too. If you don't like it, make changes.
Oh yeah. So like, I don't know about you guys, but I have a studio here, and I pretty much almost record all of my music by myself.
Right on.
I bring other people in to play on them, but I put out albums and I put out music a lot, or quite frequently. But like this one record I made a couple years ago, I was just totally in it. It's called with my band, Mike Votava and the Ding Dongs, and the album is called Eat a Hot Dog.
Yep.
And I recorded it all here, and I was so in it. Like I spent way too long mixing it, and nobody cared at that point. Like, but it's actually like pretty good. I think it's like turned out really well. But there definitely are songs in there that I don't. I think the songs are good, but the recordings are. I missed the boat on some of the recordings. But like, we're just gonna re-record those ones. When we go to the studio, like I'm not gonna record the next record for that band. We're gonna go to the studio. It'll be different process, but like, 3 or 4 of the songs on the first record will be on the next one too, but they'll just be way better versions of them. So like, there's no rules with any of that shit. Who gives a shit? No one's paying attention to me anyways. Like, the people are gonna be mad. Like, I'm not gonna buy this record because I've heard 4 of these songs before. Like, no one, like, I sold like 40 copies of that album. Jesus, like no one cares. No one cares.
It's funny though. Like, I got a buddy. He's in a band called Moss Generator. He pretty much is the band Moss Generator. Tony Reed. He's been on our show early on. What was it, second or third episode?
Like, yeah.
He has so many records that he's put out, and
they line a wall, don't they?
He's got a wall lined with them, with like 1 or 2 spots left is all, top to bottom of the wall, down his hallway in his studio. And they're all Moss Generator records. I think maybe a Stone Axe record, right? It was one of the other major bands that he was in. Major band. He played in Tree People back in the day too. He was the drummer for Tree People on one of the records. But who
was in the Tree People? Was Calvin Johnson?
Calvin Johnson was.
It wasn't Calvin Johnson. Is I derailed your story.
But anyway, the thing about Tony is he's put out several of those records are anthologies, or he'll put out a 7-inch and then later re-record one of the songs for an album. So every time he releases a song, even if it's the same song that's already been released, it's a different version every time. And so there's different, either it's recorded differently or there's different parts in it. There's always something different, because he's thinking of it from like a collector's standpoint. So that's another kind of thing you can think about when, if you don't necessarily like the version that you first put out and you want to re-record it, and do that, because
just do it again.
If there's enough people that do like your music and want it, it's like a collector's thing at that point too, because it's a different version of the same song. So every time you put something out that's slightly different, people want to grab up on that difference, just to say they have them all.
Oh yeah. One of the things I do, I have an album on Bandcamp, and I probably release 1 or 2 songs, maybe 1 a month at this point, but they all go into this album called One in a Row.
Is that the one that you release every Thursday, or?
No, that was another project I had called Tuesday Groove Kebabs.
Tuesday Groove Kebabs every Tuesday. Yeah.
But anyhow, the idea is like it's just a regular spot where I can put new music that I'm releasing and publishing.
Yeah.
For me, having some kind of an audience is important for my output. Like even knowing like 3 people care other than me, I need to know somebody cares. But I have this avenue to release new music, and generally with these songs, it's almost all me. Like I'm doing all the instruments, I'm doing all the producing, all the singing, mixing, engineering. And so the songs end up being very much me, like to the point where I get sick of myself. I approach it a certain way, and I do the best I can with these. And I'm not saying they're terrible. I actually like a lot of those songs. I like how those recordings stand out, but it is all just me doing it. I have limitations as an engineer and a musician too. But what ends up happening is I have these handful of songs, and then I bring them to the band, and we do completely new arrangements, and like actual good musicians play on them, and then the songs end up taking a whole life on their own, and they end up sounding. I'll say they sound like way better. Generally is accurate, but it doesn't make the other version that I have terrible, because this other version sounds new and refreshed because there's all these players. Like I think they're actually I look at it as like they're both valid songs that you might listen to, and like having the nice one with the rock band with all the good players and the awesome arrangements doesn't invalidate the other song that I did all by myself.
Right.
I feel like they're both like worthy of listening to. Which ones would you like to listen to better? I don't know. I mean, it's going to come down to taste or whatever. You'd probably want to listen to the rock band versions better, just because a lot of it does come down to performances, and you spend a little bit more time. I mean, they're all insanely awesome players. I'm very lucky to play with that band. Performances are better, and we spend a lot of more time with the arrangements. So it's almost like the songs are a little bit less rushed in that version.
Yeah,
and
right.
With the One in a Row songs, I'm just trying to almost get them. I do take the good is enough approach on those, maybe a little too far. But my whole goal is just to get them done and put it out there. And but I like both versions. I might be the only one listening to these versions, but that's okay.
Do you play out more solo or with your bands? Like when you're getting gigs, what's more frequent?
So I love playing live, and I need to do a better job of that. I feel like if I'm not out there playing, I sort of lose my performance chops, and like,
Same.
Oh my God, my witty stage banter just it gets worse and worse if I'm not out there playing.
Same.
You got to practice that too,
but,
right?
So I right now I've been taking, well, it's probably about even. There's probably, for every band gig there's a solo gig, but there hasn't been that many. I need to do a better job at booking, but I like the band. Well, I like the band gigs more. It's so much fun to play with an awesome rock band. I do like the solo gigs. Don't get me wrong, but like it's so. I always would prefer to play with the band given the option.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Solo gigs are a lot easier to coordinate, though.
Oh yeah, solo you can just take your guitar and drive
Yep.
to the thing, and you don't have to pay the band. Like, you're only paying yourself. So if you lose money, it's okay, you know. Or it's more okay, I guess. It's like, oh, guess what, guys?
Right.
Can't afford to pay you, which isn't true. I always pay the band when I can.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you know if you're dependable or not. I mean, if you're in a good band too, they're all dependable at that point. But
yeah,
they're putting together a band and just the whole like the early days of putting the band together. You know, you learn a lot about people really quickly.
You do.
Oh yeah. So one of the things I've been doing is my regular band, the Ding Dongs, which I mentioned. They're all like super busy and in a ton of different bands and things like that. So what I've been doing recently, this is a new thing for me, is I first ask them if they can do the gig, and they say yes or no or whatever. But if they can't, I will usually, now I take the gig anyways, and then just pick people from other bands to be in my band and stick. You know, I know enough musicians and things. I know enough friends and people who don't mind playing my songs that I can like sort of hack it together a little bit and just like, oh, we'll have a couple of rehearsals and it'll be good enough for the show, which and we did that, and it's been really fun to do that. So I'm playing with new people, so that's a whole new experience. The songs get slightly different arrangements.
That's a really cool idea.
Playing different songs.
Yeah.
So like that Up Yours song that we heard earlier, that's a song that the Ding Dongs don't know how to play, but the other band I sort of put together plays that one. So actually, like, I do take advantage of that to play a different subset of material that I might not normally play with this other band, because you can't learn all the songs and things. So so I've been realizing that I can do that, and it's been really fun. So I'm pretty much always going to say yes to oh, you need to bring a rock band gigs, and I'll just say yes and then figure it out later. That's my new.
Any bookers watching or listening there? Right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's my new strategy.
Yeah,
so
Mike will take the show.
That's always like been, a means to an end. Like if everyone knows everything and you got to find a sub, you get a sub. But I've never heard it as a strategy before. As long as your core band is like cool with it and no one's threatened, then you take the gigs for your band, and if someone can't do it, you're giving a platform for other people to. I mean, even if they're like, they might have their own bands, but there might be somebody who just needs exposure, and you're like lifting other artists up in the process while getting maximum exposure to your own group. I mean, I've never heard of that as an actual strategy. That's kind of genius.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I am a genius.
You are. It says right there.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know. It seems to be like a new approach that I'm realizing. Like as limited as I am in my music ability, I think lots of people in my little group actually do sort of respect my songs and like think I'm an okay enough person to be around, where it's not like a drag for them. And that's sort of like really validating in a way that I'm a insecure songwriter, and so any sort of validation like that, I don't like the idea that I seek out validation sometimes, but it definitely can help me get myself in the right mindset of like, why do I say such terrible things about myself all the time? I don't know. So like, it's nice to know that these other musicians, people in my community are like supporting me and like being around me and are like want to play my songs. It's like, it's really like, it's unbelievable. I can't believe it. I don't know. I'm grateful. And it's really fun, and everyone seems to be having a good time so far. So.
Well, I mean,
awesome.
The songwriting is there and the musicianship is there, even if you don't think so occasionally. And you're a great guy to talk to. I mean, really easy guy to talk to. I mean, you've got a great attitude and just seem like good people. So
yeah, for sure.
I'm actually looking forward to coming out and seeing you play live. So let's talk about upcoming shows. Where are you going to be in the near future?
Okay,
Let's plug it.
I have 3 gigs on the board right now. The first one is May 3rd at the Rendezvous in downtown Seattle on 2nd Avenue in Belltown. And that will be with Sam. That's the gig that she asked me to open for her.
Cool. I better write that down.
Well, I've got it. It's going to be recorded. I don't need to write it down. It's right here.
That's with Sam Corey. And then, so Mike Votava and the Ding Dongs, I've mentioned that band. But I have another band called We Wrote the Book on Connectors.
Okay.
That we've been around for 20 years. It was the first band that I started and played and done lots and lots of shows with these guys, and they're really good. But we're currently don't play that many gigs because 2 of the members of the band no longer live in Seattle, so it's harder for us to do things, and we're all getting older and people have families and things. So this will be a real treat. It'll be like similar to the Gunslinger. Like it'll be our first show in 6 years, I think.
Yeah. Nice.
Very cool.
It will be it will be at the Blue Moon 90th anniversary party on April 13th. And that band's it's one of my favorite bands. They're really good.
I'm writing that one down specifically because
really
of the nature of that. I want to go see that one. Like I want to see them both too. May 3rd.
Yeah.
April 13th.
April 13th. The other thing about that is We Wrote the Book on Connectors played at the 75th year anniversary at the Blue Moon. So
only 15 years apart. Yeah.
The owner / talent buyer is bringing it back.
That's awesome.
Bringing us out of retirement. So we're all really excited about that. We'll probably play our songs. I don't think we really know how to play anybody else's songs, but and then I have another gig at Tim's Tavern on June 8th, I believe.
Cool.
And that will be with a rock band that I've it'll be with the rock band, the hodgepodge rock band that I've put together.
Cool.
So three awesome shows on the books. I hope to have some more. May, or seems like there's a lot of days on the calendar left for the year. So hopefully I can get a few more gigs if I get my act together a little bit. So
right on.
I love it.
Thanks for asking about my shows.
Yeah, you got. Did I read correctly? You have a record coming out too, sometime soon, or another release, or is that the weekly?
Yeah. So I have a lot of stuff coming out that's sort of in a perpetual state of not finished yet.
Oh, okay.
So there is the one in a row thing. Those come out. New song comes out once or twice a month. Currently recording an album. I'm probably about 60% of the way done with tracking. And this will be the same thing sort of we talked about before, where I'm just taking older songs and giving them new life and putting different arrangements on them and things like that. So that should be done hopefully by the summertime if I can keep moving on. I'm slowly making progress on it as much as I can. But yeah, so, and then hopefully the Ding Dongs, Mike Votava and the Ding Dongs will have a record out at the end of the year, or, I mean, that's probably like too much, but we'll definitely be starting the process of recording something, like getting in the studio, hopefully in the fall. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming out, I guess.
Right on. And all of this can be found on your website, can be linked from your Instagram, Mike Votava.
Yeah, I should be pretty easy to find if you put my name into the Google, MikeVotava.com. I've got a really nice newsletter that you guys might enjoy.
I dug through that a little bit. It's well organized, and you seem to be really consistent with it too. Like you actually commit to the weekly newsletter.
Yeah, well, I don't actually get it every week, but I do my best. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and it's really the best tool I have for my promotion, and I'm slowly building an audience with it, and as well as these shows, and of course being on your podcast is a part of that, and thank you for having me on that. But yeah, the newsletter is really really something I'm proud of, that I've been able to keep it up. I talk about my own projects, but I also cover a lot of other Seattle bands' music. When they put out stuff, and stuff that I like, I curate a list of like new music or what's going on in the Seattle community that I like, and it goes in the newsletter. So it's not necessarily just about me. It's about other bands that I like, and bands that are out there doing great stuff. And artists are notoriously bad at marketing themselves and promoting.
Yes.
Nothing like, it pisses me off when like a band I know and love is playing this show, but like they don't tell me about it. Like I signed up on your email list, idiots. Send me an email. It makes me really mad. At least give me a shot at going to these things. I know that you can do that for social media and things like that, but like, I don't know, make it easy for me. And also, if you have new records, like new music, put that out there. I don't know. So I'm trying to like, I really trying to do what I can in that department to promote the community of, there's so much art and cool shit happening. So that's also a big part of the newsletter that I put out.
No, that's really great of you. And it's honestly, that's like a whole other conversation to talk about. It's really easy, in this day and age to think about, well, I'm tackling something on social media, and then, like this morning, Facebook went down for like 2 hours, you put all your, right. But still, but like you do it on Facebook, you do it on Instagram, like it isn't about, you never actually fully own your communication mechanism. You're always dependent on somebody, but it's important to have multiple streams of multiple channels of communication. Otherwise, how do you know? Like if you've got an email list and you signed up for the email list and you don't tell people about your shows because you posted it on Instagram, it's really good when people like you proactively market other people's efforts as well. So the more we lift each other up,
Yeah, I do what I can. There's a lot of great stuff out there, and people should be talking about it more. I think.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, that's one thing that listeners and viewers can get from our show.
Yeah,
is we're bringing folks like yourselves to other folks that maybe don't know you yet. So, thank you for being a part of our show today. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm happy to be here. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been a hell of a lot of fun. Yeah. We're coming up. Actually, we're an hour 15 already. So, Mike, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. I will go ahead and let you sign off and get on with the rest of your evening, and we're going to wrap up the show, and we'll be in touch very soon. And thank you for spending an hour with us.
You are welcome.
All right.
I had a wonderful time.
Right on. Feel free to drop off the call. We're going to keep going, but you can sign off, and we'll be in touch later.
That sounds great. I will be signing off.
All right, man. Take care,
Mike.
Later.
See you later.
Great conversation.
I love that.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of get the we're screen. That's kind of crazy.
We're screen. So I clicked the wrong button. There we go.
It's nice to find new musicians and locally in the scene and be able to have a chat like we just did. I mean, that's fantastic.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. I think that this every show I take something a little bit different out of. When we started this thing, our mission statement is the same every week, and that's that we want to be able to meet musicians on their journey and help them take the next path. And 90% of the time, I feel like we get there, and other times we just have a really cool conversation. And whatever happens. That's great. But I was really, really encouraged to talk with someone who really did get that from the beginning. Who was encouraged or if they weren't necessarily actively encouraged, they recognized that the answer wasn't holding back. It was continuing to push forward.
Right.
And examples where he did have people in his life that didn't shut him down and encouraged you. Like, I really let those words get into my head, like, that's great, make more.
Right.
Not
right.
dwell, and you know, it's hearsay. It's I wasn't there. You know, probably more words, less words, whatever. But it didn't sound like they dwelled too much on anything, even if it was amazing or it wasn't amazing. It wasn't. It was just good job, make more. Because it could have been the best song in the world, or it could have been absolute garbage. But the answer is still the same: good job, make more.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the
support.
that's the. It's not the first half; it's the second half. Make more.
Yeah.
Make more.
Keep doing it. It's validation.
Yeah.
It's support.
Yeah.
And I think all musicians really need that at some point. I mean, you get to be a big musician. Sure, maybe you don't need that anymore because you've got enough.
Yeah.
You know enough people like it. You know it's good enough, whatever. But when you're just starting out, especially, like, everybody's got that those self-confidence issues.
Yeah.
And so having somebody to support you and encourage you is super important. So hopefully we can help do that for not just our guests, but our listeners, that, you know, you just got to keep with it, man.
Absolutely.
Keep with it. If you don't think you're good enough, keep trying. Keep pushing yourself, okay? Because, I mean, really, that's the only way you're going to get better. Oh, don't push me. Push yourself. Better.
Hell yeah.
Closer. Warmer.
Killer.
What's on your bench?
What's on my bench? I already talked about what's on my bench.
Come on. We need a little bit more detail. We need the segment.
The segment?
The what's on my bench.
We're already
segment.
an hour and 15 minutes in. You want another segment?
Yeah. Can't leave the show without that. I mean, you do build and repair guitars. There's something else that's on your bench that's not a guitar.
That's right. Tortuga pedals are up. We haven't started the assembly line yet, but we have actually fired up service and repair. And what's wild to me is that before I even started selling the pedals again, just with the announcement that the brand was back, I got literally global inquiries about. Well, no one was dissatisfied. Just, I mean, these pedals have been out for almost 20 years, so like some of them stop working. Not that they're not built well, but a pot in a guitar or a pot on a pedal is eventually going to go bad.
Right.
They're called stomp boxes. You can't stomp on it forever, right?
Yeah, it'll go bad.
But the number of folks that were just like, "Oh my God, you're back! Thank you. Can you help?" And so now I'm getting pedals shipped over here just for maintenance.
Nice.
But you know, this year, it's a long road, man. It's I'm not too proud to admit that. While I'm not backing down, but I absolutely took a big bite of the elephant. I won't say I bit off more than I can chew, but I am absolutely trying to figure out how to chew that.
Your mouth is barely closing.
My mouth is full, man. Yeah. That's what she said. All you want, but
there you go.
There you go. But yeah, between the repairs and the builds and the pedal company and oh man, it's busy.
I even saw a violin come across your.
There was a violin came across.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's got strings,
I don't want to go out there and market that I repair violins, but I'm not going to say no if it's within my competency and you need somebody to work on your instrument. I'm going to work on it.
You'll turn away what you're not prepared for. Right?
Oh, absolutely. So, no. I've done that too. Like there are things that it's just not the right fit. The thing that I'm really excited to talk about is something that I really should wait until probably next month. But there's a good collaboration happening. It wasn't intended to be a collaboration. It's a build by another builder, and it was an opportunity that I was happy. He needed some help, and it wasn't a competency issue. It was a
bandwidth issue.
A person helping a person.
Yeah,
and I was incredibly humbled to even be asked, and there was no other answer other than hell yeah, I'll help you. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear more about that.
Yeah.
On behalf of our listeners. You told me a little bit about it. It's the coolest thing. I think it's really cool, and it's something that I don't think happens every day. This kind of a collaboration.
Not to me, man.
So,
yeah.
And then you've got several other things, irons in the fire, that are
He's looking at a stack
not really.
Stack of guitars.
There are a stack of guitars over there too. That's not really what I was pointing at.
Okay.
In this general area.
Yeah, general area.
You have a lot of irons in the fire right now, and they're really cool
Yeah.
things, and we're going to be talking about them in their upcoming episodes, and so there's something to look forward to.
So next month we have April 2nd, we have Nathaniel Murphy from Chicago Music Exchange. If you don't know who Nathaniel is, you will.
Go look him up.
Go look him up. Otherwise, it's this hair on the microphone that's driving me crazy. The other thing that I want to talk about, because it sets us up for 2 months, Sonic Futures. So several months back, I met a gentleman named Wesley, and he lives in Arkansas. Yeah. And he was putting together a nonprofit to get guitars into the hands of kids in the foster system. And having not known this guy at all, I was like, hey, I want to be able to support this, but I need to be able to see paperwork before I do. Right. And so we stayed in touch, and he's been really good. We probably touch base a couple times a week, and a couple weeks back he sent me the final paperwork, approved through their Secretary of State and everything. They got their 501c3 and their approvals to take donations, and everything is all on the up and up. And so I will be posting this on Facebook this week, but I'm shipping off 3 guitars to that organization to help get into the hands of kids.
Right on.
And
That's awesome.
He will be on the show May 7th.
So not our next show, the show after.
Right. Nathaniel Murphy, and then Wesley with Sonic Futures.
I hope that I'm going to be healed enough. I'm having surgery on the 2nd of May on my schnoz.
You could just sit here and ice it.
I could talk like this. I could talk like this a lot.
That's right.
I mean, I'll have the gauze out by then, I'm sure. But
okay. And if I look exhausted, it's because I am. I've been up since 4.
Well, that happens.
But I hung in there for the interview, and that's the important
part. And it was a good interview. It was very good. So yeah.
What am I forgetting? Have we talked about everything?
I think we've talked about pretty much everything. I think the only thing really left to do is to tell everybody to fret less.
Oh yeah, like that. Fret.
And rock more.
Fret less, rock more. Hell yeah.
See you guys next time.
Later.